Hey guys, welcome back to Baking with Shannon. Today we're going to be making ultra rich and creamy matcha flavored New York style cheesecake with the hidden secret ingredient to make it a little bit more guilt-free. So don't forget to smash the like button and subscribe for new videos every week. So to get started, you want to preheat your oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit or 180 degrees Celsius. And for both our crust and our filling, we're going to use our food processor, so it's going to be super easy and fast. So for our crust, you want to add 2 packages of honey graham crackers into the bowl. Then go ahead and pop the lid on, whiz it around for 30 seconds or so, just until it's finely ground like you see there. But don't stress too much because we still need to process it further. So to that, you want to add 4 tablespoons of unsweetened cocoa powder, as well as a touch of sugar and some melted butter. I'm using salted butter here, but if you're using unsalted butter, go ahead and add a pinch of salt as well. So just whiz it around for a minute or so, just until everything's blended together. Don't forget to scrape those sides and the corner edges of the bowl, just to make sure everything's being combined. And it should at that point resemble wet sand, and if you squeeze it into the palm of your hand, it should kind of hold its shape together. So at this point, go ahead and dump it out into your springform pan. I'm using a 9-inch or 23 centimeter springform pan. And just level it out with your hand, but to really get that tight and compacted crust, you need to use some sort of like measuring cup or maybe the bottom of a heavy glass and just press it in firmly so that the crust is nice and intact. You want to make sure that your crust is not too loose, and you want to make sure it's nice and compacted, so that way none of our cheesecake filling leaks out. So once you've done that, go ahead and bake your crust for 12 to 15 minutes or just until it's firm to the touch. Then in the bowl of the same food processor that I just rinsed out, I'm going to add 4 packages or 32 ounces of Neufchatel cheese, which is 30% less in saturated fat, and I still find it produces a nice, rich, decadent, creamy New York style cheesecake, which is my favorite kind. So from now on, I think I'm going to be buying the Neufchatel cheese just to save on some calories and fat. Then to that, we still need to add a little bit of sugar. You can cut back if you like, if you don't like things that sweet, but I find you need probably around 1 cup of sugar just to sweeten things up because it is dessert after all. Then you want to add 3 large eggs plus 2 egg yolks and some sour cream. Then just whiz it around, and it should take like less than a minute. Don't forget to scrape down the sides and edges of the bowl just to make sure everything's being combined. And at this point, you're ready to add your flavorings. And of course, I'm using matcha powder, and I find you need a minimum of 6 tablespoons of matcha powder to get that intense green tea flavor and color, as well as a touch of vanilla. And of course, you can use just pure vanilla only, or you can use some lemon zest if you don't like matcha powder, which, why would you not like matcha powder? That's kind of crazy. No judgment there. Okay, so at that point, everything's ready to go. We just mix it in, and we're just going to pour it into our cooled crust and just bake it for about 50 to 55 minutes or so, just until it's firm to the touch, but still has a slight wiggle in the center when you shake the pan. And you notice I didn't get any cracking at all, even though I did not use a water bath, which I personally don't really believe in, as long as you don't over bake your cheesecake. And then a few other tips, just making sure you run like a thin knife, like a thin paring knife, around the edges of your cake. You don't have to go too deep. It could just be a shallow cut. That way, when it cools and contracts, it doesn't pull from the edges of the pan and then cause a crack. And also, another key point to prevent cracking is to let your cheesecake cool completely in the oven with the oven turned off and the door slightly ajar. So it's the next day now, and I did cover my cheesecake and refrigerate it overnight so it's nice and chilled, but you will notice a layer of condensation that builds up on the surface, but that's really no problem. Go ahead and dab that moisture off with a paper towel. And this is a perfect example of why I love springform pans to make cheesecake in, because all you need to do is just unclamp the hinge on the side and just lift off the pan, and it should come right off. I just love how ultra rich and creamy this cheesecake is, and if you love New York style cheesecake like I do, you're gonna love this one. And if you didn't tell anyone, nobody would know based on the texture, how smooth it is, and how decadent it tastes, that we actually use reduced fat cream cheese, which is awesome. So With that being said, we cannot overlook the flavor of that matcha powder. It just adds such a depth of flavor, and it's not too sweet, and it also has that beautiful green color, perfect for springtime now that I think of it. So don't forget, if you like this recipe, go ahead and give this video a thumbs up. I really appreciate it, and subscribe for new recipes every week.